It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of February 9th, 2001. We got two movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Ridley Scott's sequel to Silence of the Lambs, that is Hannibal. So this is, of course, the continuation of the Silence of the Lambs. This is actually based off of a novel written by the original writer of Silence of the Lambs, that's Thomas Harris, which came out about 8 years after the original film did. In this one, you have Clarice, played this time by Julianne Moore. She's attempting to apprehend a cannibalistic serial killer, Hannibal Lecter, once again played by Anthony Hopkins, before his surviving victim, Mason Verger, played by Gary Oldman, captures him. In addition to all three of them, you've got Ray Liotta, Frankie Faison, Giancarlo Gianni, and Francesca Neri. And with a director like Ridley Scott on this, who's just coming off of his biggest success to date with Gladiator, that was about to win a Best Picture Oscar, a script written by David Mamet and Steven Zazilian, Steven Zazilian, of course, wrote Schindler's List. David Mamet, probably one of the greatest writers of our time, Glenn Ross, and a marketing campaign with this really creepy-ass Hannibal Lecter poster. I mean, just look at that right there. That's friggin' terrifying. And all that built up, and this is the movie they gave us. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really, really preposterous. Even for a movie like this, like the levels of ridiculousness this movie goes to really take you out of it. Like, you have one of his surviving victims, Hannibal Lecter's surviving victims, Mason Verger, and he's played by Gary Oldman, and you're supposed to see what he looks like. It's supposed to, and I don't know what they were thinking with this makeup work, but he looks ridiculous, and it doesn't help that Gary Oldman's overacting his ass off on this. It also doesn't help that the story overall really does not make a whole lot of sense in general. I mean, this is a film this is supposed to be the sequel to The Silence of the Lambs. We've waited first of all, did The Silence of the Lambs really need a sequel to begin with? Probably not. More than likely it didn't. I mean, like, that's one thing. Two, it doesn't have that same spark that Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster had with Silence of the Lambs. Julianne Moore has proven she could be a great actress in any movie she's in, but her stepping into this role with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, it's just not flowing. It's not working at all. Anthony Hopkins doesn't know what he's trying to do in this movie, and the film itself is just, it's not that interesting or exciting in general. And even when it gets to a moment where it's just like, it wakes you up, it's not delivering what it's promising you. Like, there's a scene at the end of the movie where Ray Liotta's character is literally having his brains taken out of him by Hannibal Lecter, and it's just like, this should be interesting, and yet it's not. It's like, how do you do that? Like, how do you take a scene where somebody's getting their brains literally taken out of them, and you see it on screen, and you get nothing out of it? It's amazing how badly this movie just completely drops the ball on moments that should be so interesting and so engaging, and yet it just doesn't work at all. It's a really, really lackluster sequel. It's a dull movie. Nothing of interest happens in this film. It's way too long. It doesn't know what direction it wants to take itself. Everyone's trying their best to get something out of this, and it has a unique vision to it. The cinematographer of this movie, I think, is John Toll, I think? No, I'm thinking of somebody else altogether. John Matheson, who has worked with Ridley Scott in the past. He does a good job of giving this movie a unique visual style to it. But as I said before, visuals don't make the movie. I mean, you need a good story. You need something there to get me invested in what's going on here. And sadly, it's just not there. And for a film that's over 2 hours long, and it's really dull, even when it's supposed to be really awesome to look at, and disturbing at the same time, it's not there. And it just feels like, it feels lifeless. There's literally nothing about this movie that feels like I needed to be here for this. And nevertheless, it broke box office records. It was a big hit when it came out, so it had an audience to it, and it did become a hit on video. But I guess if there's one thing that's good about this, it did lead to a prequel in Red Dragon, which ended up being a far superior film, which we'll get to when we get to 2002, which was directed by Brett Ratner, too, of all things. things, which we'll get to that in 2002. But this, it's not worth it. It's not worth it in the end, and it's really a big letdown overall. So, my thoughts on Hannibal there. So let's go ahead and get to the last film that came out this weekend. Jason Biggs, Steve Zahn, Jack Black, and Amanda Peet in Saving Silverman.
This story is about me and my two pals. We've been best friends since the 5th grade. But now we're all grown up. Nothing could ever come between us. Then she came along. Give the lady a scotch, and I'll have another beer.
Oh, he'll have a gin and tonic.
Make that a gin and tonic.
Judy, awesome to meet you. Judith. And the beer bong for the lady?
Darren tells me you're a psychologist. I'm in a related field.
Really? What's that?
Pest and rodent removal.
I don't want you to see Wayne or JD ever again, Darren.
I'm not dropping Wayne and JD.
Okay, fine. No more sex. No fun.
From the director of Big Daddy
We miss you. We never see you anymore.
comes a story about tough love.
Judith proposed to me.
Darren's my puppet and I'm his puppet master.
Before Judith, our fun level was at an all-time high, 93. But look now. 2
Good friends.
Who's Darren talking to?
Those are his new friends.
We're not giving up on Darren. Coming at you!
And bad ideas.
We're gonna kidnap Judith and set Darren up with Sandy.
Yeah! What?
Darren?
Sandy?
The bat is leaving the cave.
I'm hit. I need backup.
I just can't figure out why Judith left. Maybe she got kidnapped. You think? No, definitely not. That's impossible.
Jason Biggs.
Oh, there's the duck. That was always Judith's favorite. Sorry.
Steve Zahn.
If you say anything about Judith, I'll give you a little shock.
Ow!
Okay.
Jack Black.
Have you ever had a girlfriend?
Yes.
And Amanda Peet.
You diamond!
We're on a mission of love.
I love you, Judith.
Judith!
Sadie Silverman.
Judith escaped.
Here you have another one of those movies that in reality is really, really stupid and should be absolutely horrible. But for someone like me who grew up around this time when this movie played right into what I thought was really funny comedy back then, I really enjoyed this movie. And even today, even as bad as the movie is, which definitely proves to be the case, I mean, it's a bad movie, but it's a fun bad movie. I really was laughing long and hard back when I saw this as a kid. But the basic story of this movie, before I go further into it, is that you have Jason Biggs playing Darren Silverman. His longtime friends are trying to save him from marrying his controlling new girlfriend, played by Amanda Peet, whose behavior threatens the friends, their band, and Darren's choice of happiness with his lifelong true love, played by Amanda Detmer. And you also have Arlie Ermey in a really good funny role in here, and Neil Diamond has had a fun cameo in this movie, even though the characters basically have a tribute band called Diamonds in the Rough, where they dress up like Neil Diamond and sing his songs. In fact, Neil Diamond himself actually has said that he was dragged into the project kicking and screaming humorously, and he actually wrote and composed a new song for the film called "I Believe in Happy Endings," which, I mean, I think it's I think it's a funny movie. I know it's completely stupid. I know it doesn't have a whole lot of sense in terms of the plot in general, but there's just moments in this movie that made me laugh out loud. Lines in this movie that are just so hilarious. Like, there's this moment in the movie where Steve Zahn and Jack Black are down in the basement where they have Judith kidnapped, and they're going to open the door and they're going to grab a gun, they're going to shoot her, and she's just like, you guys are not going to shoot me. It's just like, it's absolutely we are. It's just like, you've never shot anybody in your life, and they just keep making up stories about people they've killed, and like when they were about to do it, they just can't do it, and they just leave like, God damn it, and just close the door and go back upstairs. Like they were really that upset that they couldn't pull the trigger. Like, moments like that are stupid in their own way, but it's really funny at the same time. It's just like it really is one of those things. Like, I look at Little Nicky as a perfect example. If you grew up with it like I did, and found enjoyment into it, it's mostly going to be a nostalgic feeling towards it. Yeah, Little Nicky's not a great movie either, but it still has those moments in there that make me laugh out loud. Saving Silverman is definitely a prime example of that. Like, this is not a great movie. It's, script-wise, it's a very lackluster movie. But comedy-wise, it still makes me laugh after all these years. I love this movie. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It features a lot of really good people involved doing whatever they can to make me laugh, and it works. For me, it works. So, have to give it a pass on that front. Like, I know it's stupid. I know it's not great, but I love it anyway. Saving Silverman, stupid fun. Can't get any better than that. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll head into President's Day weekend 2001 on the next episode with 3 movies, including Chris Rock in a modernized remake of Heaven Can Wait, Down to Earth. The Recess Gang gets a movie in Recess School's Out, and we also have Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron in one of the most notorious bombs of the year, and that is Sweet November. And once we talk about that movie, you'll definitely see why it's one of the most notorious bombs of the year. And again, we'll delve into that on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.